Chiefs had a meeting with Nabi. Are they firing him? Farouk Khan said something that is very important. But is he right? We're also going to talk about Itumeleng Khune and what Thomas Sweswe said about the defense of Kaizer Chiefs. Not to mention the fact that we have to look at some money that is going to be spent in June. Hello and welcome to Khosi Nation Fan TV. I am Bilo. I am your host, and this is where fans meet and talk about Kaizer Chiefs. Khosi Football Club. So, according to Kickoff, they are saying that Kaizer Chiefs had a meeting with Nabi. So, you don't just have meetings. You have meetings because there is something that has to be discussed. And right now, Kaizer Chiefs sitting in 8th with Golden Arrows creeping up closely near them. They wanted to talk about things, and apparently this was a constructive meeting where they're saying that all the parties agreed that the team is not in a good place and that there needs to be change for the team to be better. Now, this clearly is telling me that as much as the meeting was constructive, because you can have a meeting that is constructive, but the management is worried because we're 8th right now. Remember, even last year, we're 8th on the last day of the log, and all we needed, I think, was a draw, and then we ended up losing, and then we're out. So I think that the management is worried. Us fans, we are worried. The coach himself is worried. But my thing is, how will he react to this? Is he going to stick to his guns and go, I trust Umthetho to be a 6? Or is he going to say, you know what, Ele playing alongside Ungcobo was doing much better. We're creating and controlling the game much more than creating chances, because one thing for sure about the Chiefs, they will create chances. And that's one thing that I want to say. When I said that Umthetho, there was no need for him to play against Richards Bay, I wasn't saying that he's a bad player. I was saying that he is a good player when we need someone to destroy. You are playing against Richards Bay, you're not really going to need a destroyer that much. Instead, you're going to need someone who's actually going to help you keep the ball, someone who's going to help you create chances, which is what Nkosi Ncgobo does. And then coach made that mistake. So now that they've had that meeting and they were like, bruh, we need to win games, I wonder if his approach is going to be, let me be cautious so that I don't lose more games, or is he going to say, you know what, let me go out and try to win more games? Well, we have like a few, like more than what? We have almost 10 days, 11 days before Chiefs plays their next game. I guess that's when we'll find out what the answer is. And the next thing is, I checked again the foul Pasadena situation because I saw a story about it. And his price tag is around 23 million, right? And Stellenbosch would now be more willing to sell him. I don't think he would go for 20 million. But the question that I do have is, he's a left back. And Nabi did say that the priority signing is to get a left back. But there's also Mabuya from Richards Bay, who is a right back, right? And the Chiefs already have a Frosler and they already have a Solomons. So when it comes down to it, with Udove currently performing and Ukros already being there, will Chiefs prioritize signing Pasadena, or will they just go for both Mabuya and Pasadena, right back and left back? Or will they just say for Mabuya, let's sign Frosler? You guys can let me know. Do you think they should just renew the contract of Frosler because he has a backup in Solomons and then forget about signing Mabuya? Or do you think they should still get to Mabuya because Frosler sometimes is inconsistent and Solomons is also injury prone? You can let me know down on the comment section below. And while we are talking about things that you can do, please make sure to also subscribe to the channel and like the video if you have already subscribed, and just share it with your friends as well on your WhatsApp and whatever. So the next thing is, Thomas Sweswe is saying that Miguel is being let down by his fellow defenders. And it's funny because I see the story and I was talking to Bongani during the day. And I was saying that, listen, Bongs, I think there is an issue that we're not addressing. Utotli is injured, Utotli Mnandi, and Utotli was not complimenting Inacio Miguel. And Utotli was making mistakes, and we never talked about him because we like him so much. And yet when it's Umsimango makes a mistake, all of us go, ah! And I think it's the same case with every other Kaizer Chiefs player. If any other Chiefs player makes a mistake, we're on their case. But if it's the few players who are our favorites, we make an excuse for them and say this and that. Mina, I for one like the work rate of Mart, but when he has a bad game, I will say he had a bad game. And I'm not saying that I do not have players that I am always trying to. For example, Shabalang's protector Kozuingan, and he always gives it his all. I see him trying, unlike some players who just sometimes seem like they're not interested in playing the game. And those are the players that I usually take issue with. And that is what Thomas Soso is saying, Guti. If you look at Inacio Miguel, he's a player who clearly, when he's playing, you see that he's trying to apply himself. We can say the same thing about Udove as well. He applies himself. He's in there. I even saw it with Simangwa. I saw him when he was making tackles. He was celebrating them. And that's the kind of passion that I want to see from our players. I want to see like how some players, when they do something for Chiefs, you can see it means so much more. And it's something that was happening actually to Matlo Guti. He also showed some level of passion when he was playing, but I don't know what went wrong, and then he just fell off. And I think it's because after the injury, he came back and he was scared, and his game is just gotten not that great. So I think that he's right. Uguti, the players like Abo Cross, Amatimina Abo were not looking that great. Ufrosla, it shows up when he wants to. Utotli Naye, he plays very well and he's such a good player, but sometimes he would switch off, and then you see us getting punished. So I hope that Umiguel, even during this time, we can talk about these things, play for the badge, and actually know what that means, and not just say, play for the badge, because the fans are saying that. Which then brings us to Farouk Khan, who I think said something that is very interesting. He says that 1, Chiefs issues go beyond coaching. Number 2, he's saying that because I think that's very important. Farouk Khan saying that Chiefs' problems are beyond coaching is such a very good thing, because a lot of people just look at the problems with Chiefs and think, that's it. I actually just had another call that was like 20 minutes with Umtobisi, a friend of mine from back in varsity days, and was saying, what is the problem with Chiefs players? And I was saying to him, I think one of the biggest problems that Chiefs players face is us, the fans. The pressure of playing at Kaizer Chiefs is such a huge thing. And I was even making an example with Anthony Uguti. At Manchester United, for example, he went to Manchester, was bought for 90 million, and there was a lot of talk around him. Hey, so much money was spent on him, he better deliver, and then he didn't deliver, and then people started criticizing him. He goes to Spain, and all of a sudden at Real Betis, he's now performing. That just tells you that there are some players who are very good, but there are certain teams that they will struggle to play for because of the pressure that comes with playing for the team. But that's not what Farouk Khan is saying here. He's also saying that poor recruitment is leading to frequent lineup changes, which means the players who are signed to Kaizer Chiefs are not properly profiled. Let me just raise my hand here and say I'm guilty as one of the fans who were pushing for Sibong Senimteto to be signed because we wanted a destroyer and we wanted all of that. But I'm the same guy who always says that, but if you're a 6, you must also be able to play the ball, which is exactly what Tuchele does, but is also able to do that role of marking and recovering the ball. So I'm not saying Umteto and putting Omondo's side and saying that he's a horrible player. No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying because you need something from Umteto and then you need something from Umshini, but you only have 3 spaces in midfield because now you need to have a 10 there as well. You end up saying, okay, I have to play this one today, have to play that one tomorrow, have to play this one today. And it seems like they are not consistently giving you the 100% because from the coach's perspective, he's also North African. He lacks the physicality. So he's going to like to play Umteto. But at the same time, we need the creativity, we need the control in midfield. So he's going to need Nkosingphile Ngcobo. In fact, even with the 6th thing, before we signed Ucele, there was no control in that midfield whatsoever. So then Ucele comes in, he sorts out that problem. But now we're like, who is he going to play with? He's playing with Mart, we don't see nothing. And then now they try Ngcobo, and then he's there. But then, since there's a lack of physicality from Ngcobo, he's now like, but Umteto is now back. So let me play him again. So this chopping and changing because we have not profiled what do we actually need in the team. We need someone who's going to be able to play the ball, but it's also be able to be physical, impose themselves in that midfield. And then if you can get a player who's like that and not get a player who's physical, but then at the same time, not at the same time, and then another player is going to be good on the ball. You need to have someone who's going to have both of those attributes and then he's going to fit in that midfield. And the player that I'm thinking about right now is I'm saying that is Uyaya Stole, because he's very comfortable on the ball, but is also very physically imposing. If you look at Utebo Homkwen, he's the same profile of a player, physically imposing, but is also very good on the ball. So that's what Farouk Khan is saying. Because there is poor recruitment, the profile of the players that we have are not fitting to what the system wants. And number 3, he says that they need a technical expert to sign the players who fit the style. And then because of that, he says a better style would fit or would ease the coach's job. So when he says they need a technical expert, it goes back to what we've been talking about. Does Kaizer Chiefs Jr. need to be the sporting director? That is a question. Does he need to be a sporting director, or should he just focus on the business side of things? Should the Downs just focus on, hey, we are the bosses here, we're going to hire the people who are qualified to do this, and we're just going to focus on running the team. It's not because they are horrible at doing this, but just get someone who's better. Because sometimes it's not because you are bad, but it's because someone is better suited to those kind of situations. So that's the question I'm asking them myself, Guti. With what Farouk Khan is saying, will the Kaizer Chiefs management think to themselves, yeah, perhaps we should find someone who is specifically qualified to do this job? What do you guys think? Do let me know down in the comment section below. And thank you so much once again for watching. And until next time, remember, Khosi, Al Pelumoy.